RMJ Movie Reviews back again with another Black History Month movie review. And I am coming with my movie review of a 1992 classic, Class Act. Wow, 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 wow. Man, starring Kid and Play themselves. Kid and Play. Those of you kids out there might not even know who these two are, and you really wouldn't know because it's the back of their heads. I'm actually surprised that this is the original cover art poster that was actually at the theater when I went to go see this. Me and my cousin and his friend went to go see it, and then I saw it again with my sister. So I saw this film twice theatrically. I believe this was in 1992. I believe, if I remember right, I had just entered the 5th grade, so I was 11 years old when this film came out. Wow, that's so long ago. Either way, this was the third collaboration with the rappers turned actors, comedians, whatever, Kid and Play. This was the third film after House Party 2, which the original film was House Party, and then was House Party 2. And then House Party 3. I actually had only up to that. I saw House Party 2 theatrically and this film. House Party 2 I thought was okay. I wasn't a big fan of House Party 2. It's alright though. I like it way better in comparison to House Party 3, which maybe one day I might maybe review House Party 3 one day if I could sit through it, if I could manage to. But House Party 1 was just by far, I love House Party. It's just a great movie. This film, actually, even funny in retrospect, we actually had this is funny. If you can believe it or not, there were sneak preview tickets released for this movie, and that's when me and my cousin and a guy named Harold, we used to go to elementary school with, went to go see this. That's funny. This is so funny. But going back to watch, I always enjoyed Class Act. I actually own it on VHS tape. I think I showed you guys on my VHS tape movie reviews. It's on a video cassette with Passenger 57, Trespass with Ice Cube, an episode of Martin, and Extreme Justice starring Lou Diamond Phillips and Scott Glenn. I'm going very old school. Some of y'all might even not know what movies I'm talking about. But either way, I always enjoyed Class Act. And upon rewatching it, I have not watched this movie in a very long time. Matter of fact, when I did my Sugar Here review, I was at Walmart, and this was in the bargain bin too. So actually, both of these were $3 together. So I was just like, what the heck? I mean, I own, but I was like, why not pick it up? And don't get me wrong, there's nothing on here but a trailer. Matter of fact, it doesn't even have scene selection. It just goes right to the movie. So that just shows you what Warner Brothers think of this film. And that was the thing. This was the first time Kid and Play had done a movie outside of another movie studio, because House Party 1 and 2 were with New Line Cinemas. And this was done by Warner Brothers. And now that I rewatched the movie and kind of know a little bit more about a little bit of like the movie business and stuff like that, there's a lot of things in this movie that really link this up with kind of previous Warner Brothers movies, specifically New Jack City, but I'll go on to that later. Upon rewatching it again, this was just a great trip down memory lane. I still had a lot of fun with it. Sometimes when you go back to things from your childhood that you haven't seen in a long time, sometimes they don't age well. And, look, here's my thing. In terms of this movie aging well, I would definitely say in terms of the comedy and the goofiness of it, I think it's aged well. There is a little bit with some of, obviously, this is 1992. They probably maybe filmed it. I don't know. This was done in 1992. So for those of us who are even old enough to remember, there's a lot of that kind of New Jack Swing kind of haircuts. The kids now decided to bring back the flat tops with the parts and all that. I don't know why they wanted to bring that back. We left that for a reason, but a lot of the stuff that you see the kids imitating now is evident in this film. A lot of films from 1992, 1991 in that era. Specifically the colors of their clothing, the very strong reds, the very strong oranges and blues, bright colors. People were wearing a lot of... this was at the time when Kid and Play... Kid had stopped his big high top, which he has in the beginning part of the movie, and then he transitioned to his... I hate to use the word because they don't like to... There's some people who have locks don't like it, but dreadlocks. And actually, Play had the dreadlocks in the beginning. At one point, both of them were rocking it, but I think one or the other switched off. They had a cartoon show around this time, too, which I didn't really watch that cartoon show that much. I used to watch it kind of infrequently, but everybody had a cartoon back then. I mean, Teen Wolf, Back to the Future, Bill and Ted, everybody had a cartoon then. WWF wrestlers, they all had cartoons back then. And I used to watch the Kid and Play cartoon infrequently, like I said, here and there. But there's a lot of that early 90s lingo, fresh. Ooh, that's fresh. And yes, we did. That is a word we used to use a lot back then, was fresh. Man, them shoes is fresh, you know. I think that Fly, man, that hat is stupid, dog. That hat is stupid. You know, there's some of that in there. And then there's some other things that kind of, I don't remember using that much, but it might be more of just kind of exaggerated for the film to make it hip. But, you know, and then there's a lot of hip-hop rap music, definitely from the time period. And also the soundtrack is scattered with R&B and classic rap tunes from the late 80s and the early 90s. There's Jodeci Forever My Lady on the soundtrack. There's one song, I cannot remember the name of it, but it plays over the scene when Kid and Juanita go to the museum. I cannot remember the name of that song, but it's a real kind of slow ballad that plays in the background. They play LL. They got LL playing in the background. There is tons and tons and tons of classic rap and R&B songs. And I'm actually very even surprised that they even made it onto this DVD, because we all know how a lot of that music kind of gets replaced when these films come, but it's all intact here. This is the original version of the film. So let's see, what did I hit? I hit all the classic R&B and rap, the hair from that era. And one thing I will say is, it's evident that I didn't read all the credits for this movie, but I'm only assuming that a lot of the people who worked on New Jack City must have worked on Class Act, because the wardrobe is almost identical to a lot of the stuff in this film. But one thing I might say, Class Act, and I didn't even tell anybody about the story. I really don't think I have to. I'll just give you a quick synopsis. Anyway, Play, he's a criminal. Kid, he's a well-to-do, smart ace kid. They end up getting their identity switched. So Play ends up in all the really bright, smart kid classes, and Kid ends up in the hood classes with the broken down hoop and the spray paint on the classroom. And really what I see about this movie, Class Act, is that it's very much an exaggerated, goofy, cartoonish version of like a movie like The Principal from 1987 with Jim Belushi and Lou Gossett Jr., or Lean on Me, or Stand to Deliver with Edward James Olmos, which those were films that were kid in trouble films and these really derelict, brutal high schools. This is almost like a heightened, cartoonish version of those films. So it has all the hallmarks of those films, like I said, the spray paints, the brutalizing the teachers, the drug dealers who run the school, and all that stuff. But it's heightened to kind of a cartoonish version. And I don't know, kind of, I think I read some stuff on IMDb where people were saying, oh, the film is racist because the smart black children are light-skinned and the ghetto black children are dark-skinned. You know, I can see that. I'm a light-skinned brother. I've gone through that whole thing my whole life, so I can kind of see that in there. But I think in this film, I get it looking at it as an adult. I think all of it is intentional, and I think it's meant to be exaggerated. You know what I mean? It's playing on the stereotypes, but pumping them up to such a level that it's goofy. You know, and also I want to say, this is a PG-13 movie, but there's a lot of very hardcore street lingo in here. I mean, I think the example, there's a scene where Kid beats up the bully, Wedge, and he goes to talk over to Dougie Doug, who plays Popsicle, which Dougie Doug is fantastic in this movie. He was in Cool Runnings. He was on the Cosby TV show that came in the 90s where Felicia Rashad and Bill Cosby came back for another. Didn't have anything to do with the Huxtables, but it was just called Cosby. He's really good in this movie. But Kid goes, don't deal drugs. And he's like, no, man, he was trying to sweat me for some loot, for some yayo. And I'm like, wow. But watching the movie now as an adult, many people who I've known growing up, family and friends who have partaken in the rough lifestyle, that kind of stuff, there's some authentic kind of lingo. I'm surprised they actually put this in a PG-13 kids movie. This movie has some very hardcore language. It's my opinion that this was originally an R, and they must have edited it down to a PG-13, probably because of the goofiness. But there's a lot of strong language, a lot of very strong sexual innuendos, and I'm actually even still surprised they got away with a PG-13 for this movie. There's a lot of strong content here that I recognize now, but because it's played so goofy with Kid and Play and their kind of very hammy, goofy performances, all the actors here are playing it ham, and you've got a slew of actors who appeared in New Jack City, who were on the Martin Show, who were in Boys in the Hood, particularly Ricky's girlfriend from Boys in the Hood shows up here. Old girl from Fresh Prince, Hillary shows up here. Pootie Tang. I mean, you just got a string of popular actors of all races and creeds who've been in tons of stuff. Comedians. Pauly Shore shows up in this movie too, which Pauly Shore was brand new at this time with his whole Ginsu dude, buddy. He was doing all that. I never was into Pauly Shore, even at the time when the movie came out. I just never got Pauly Shore. I get it. He was supposed to be weird and funny. I don't really know if he was funny. I don't know. I never got into Pauly Shore ever. I saw Son-in-Law, I think like half of it once, and never saw it again. I did like that movie in the Army. Now I thought that was kind of funny, but either way, this is a really fantastic comedy. I've really enjoyed myself. Oh yeah, and Tommy from Martin, who rest in peace, he just passed away. But he really does that whole thing where he plays the master drug dealer Mink, and he goes, Mink, ha ha! He does a lot of that thing he used to do on Martin. He was such a great actor. He'll be sorely missed, but he's really good here. And also, I want to point out that the comedy in this it's kind of playing on both. You've got the very exaggerated Three Stooges slapping the head kind of comedy. Then you got the goofiness of this high class world versus this hood world. Everything is turned up and exaggerated to comedic levels, but there's also a lot of really funny jokes in this movie. I mean, there's just some funny stuff in this movie. Bruh Man from Martin pops up in here too. There's good stuff in this movie. I had a great time. And what I really like is I also like the production design, particularly, and you can tell this movie was shot all on a back lot. I mean, you could see it and all this. I'm not sure if the high school was a back lot, the actual exteriors, but you could tell like the museum, and you could those are all back lots that I've seen in other movies before. But the production design is fantastic on this movie. I mean, it really plays into this comic book world of having all these strong colors. Matter of fact, it very much reminds me of kind of Miami Vice, the TV show, at least in the first and the second season, really particularly the second season of Miami Vice, how it really played on those comic booky kind of colors. You see a lot of that in this film. So there's just all these strong colors to kind of lend to this goofy comic book exaggerated world and the exaggerated performances. This is a fun movie. Fun. I will say, if there's only one part of the movie that truly made me cringe, that was Kid and Play's little rap performance at the high school talent show. That was the only part of the movie, and it's not that long. I think at most it might maybe be like 2 minutes. I almost fast forwarded. I actually had never known about Kid and Play when they were rappers. I wasn't even aware of Kid and Play until they made the first House Party. And when they made the first House Party, then I had figured out who they were. But, at that time, before Will Smith had did Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I used to listen to all that kind of goofy I used to listen to Will Smith, where he was a Fresh Prince then. I used to listen to Fresh Prince all the time, like Parents Just Don't Understand, the Freddy Krueger song. I used to listen to all of Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jess songs back there. I'm surprised I never heard Kid and Play. But that's the only part of the movie where I was so close to fast forwarding it, but I stuck it out and I made it through it. But this is a fun movie. It's a fun movie. It just, I guess the fact that I'm an adult now, the content didn't strike me as strong, I guess, until I actually saw it now, rewatching it again. But it's fun. It's really fun. And I'm really surprised that, because I hadn't seen this movie in so long, how much of it I could actually still remember. Like, I could still remember all those jokes. And they're funny. Most of them are funny. There are a couple that kind of thud a little bit, but most of them are hit pretty good. I love the techno music in the scene where Blade takes Duncan Penderhughes to the club. All that techno 90s. That was at the time, like, when girls and dudes were wearing, like, the black combat boots. Like, you wear black combat boots with, like, colorful jeans and button up. Oh my God. SWV and TLC used to do a lot of that back then. It's just, oh my God. It's the old days. Some of you all out there don't know nothing about that. But that's my review of Class Act. It's a lot of fun, especially for those of us 30-somethings. A fun movie that we grew up on. If you show it to the kids now, I'm not really quite sure if they get it, because they're not going to know who anybody is in this movie. But they might have fun with it just because it's so goofy and cartoony. But, a lot of fun, I didn't realize this movie was a box office bomb. But as I recall seeing it now, I do remember when I saw it twice, there was really nobody in the theater. When we saw the sneak preview tickets, I think it might have been like 5 of us in the theater. And then when me and my sister saw it again, if I recall, there was only a few people in there. There wasn't a lot. Versus, House Party 2, there was a lot more people in the theater. House Party 3 was packed. But I don't want to talk about that movie. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and don't forget to hit that little bell. Hit the little bell so you can be notified each time I pop up with a new video. Okay, RMJ Movie Reviews, I will be back with my movie review for Black History Month of Philadelphia, starring Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks. RMJ Movie Reviews, I'll see you guys soon.